Hi, everybody. This is SAAD for the SAAD Truth. Some of you may remember an article that I wrote a while ago on my Psychology Today column, which was eventually picked up also for the magazine, and I've since done a SAAD Truth clip on it. The article was titled "The Narcissism and Grandiosity of Celebrities," and in the article I was talking about uh, how many celebrities feel that because of their great influence in popular culture, they feel sufficiently emboldened to weigh in on topics that they really know very little about. And by the way, I don't mean to imply that you should only comment about your narrow areas of expertise. Hardly that, right? As a matter of fact, public intellectuals, by virtue of the fact that they are trained to think, will weigh in on many topics that are not within their narrow areas of expertise. Anybody can weigh in. The 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 arena of ideas is a democratic one where everybody can weigh in, but there is something called epistemic or epistemological humility where you know what you know and you know what you don't know, and then accordingly you will either weigh in on a topic or not, depending on whether you actually have something valuable to say or not. But of course, as a celebrity, what ends up happening is you can't really negotiate that particular calculus very well because you've been repeatedly told that you are the God's gift to life, and therefore you could weigh in on any topic. Physics, of course, I could weigh in. Epidemiology, of course, I could weigh in. Now, sure, I'm just a pop star who only graduated from grade 7, but I could weigh in on any topic because I play a superhero in a movie, and therefore I no longer view myself as immortal. I could weigh in on any topic. So, this is sort of the preamble to what I want to talk about next. I watched some clips from Professor Dr. Jay-Z and Van Jones. Van Jones is the I guess now he's a CNN person. In the past, he was some political guy, and they were having a chat. And Van Jones said, "Hey, what do you think about what Trump is doing with the black community? I mean, things are looking better in terms of economic well-being. Unemployment is down." And then the response of Professor Dr. Jay-Z was, well, this is not all about, it's got nothing to do with money. And so I went right away so economic well-being has nothing to do with money. And so I went on my social media and I analogized other positions that Professor Dr. Jay-Z has taken. So, for example, he's also weighed in on the uh, endocrinological reality associated with diabetes, where he said that, when it comes to diabetes, it's not about the blood sugar levels, bruh. And then later he weighed in on the obesity epidemic, which of course is a major problem in the United States. And he explained to us simpletons that when it comes to obesity, it's not about weight, bruh. And then finally, when it comes to melanoma, skin cancer, the very virulent and nastiest form of skin cancer, he explained to us that, excuse me, when it comes to melanoma, it's really not about the skin, it's about happiness. Now, some of you will probably weigh in and say, no, that's not what he meant. He was talking about empowerment and so on. No, Jay-Z has a narrative, and his narrative is that everybody in the US, at least that comes from his community, is victimized. Trump is a racist. He's a KKK member, and I am going to stick to that narrative irrespective of any information that comes that might make me question my position. And this is regrettably a fundamental feature of human nature, where for most people it is very, very, very difficult to ever have the humility to say, I held position A, I now realize that I was wrong, and I'm happy to revise my opinion in light of this incoming information. And that certainly would be true of Professor Dr. Jay-Z. By the way, Jay-Z and his wife, the Queen, the woman who makes me feel alive every time I see her. Well, actually, she makes a lot of men feel alive. Beyonce, their collective wealth, their net worth, according to Forbes, is $1.16 billion. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's difficult to imagine how they can get up every day and deal with this pervasive, never-ending daily grind that they must go through, demonstrating how everywhere they go, people follow them in the stores because, they are people of color. So when someone who is worth $1.16 billion in a society that, far from being perfect, is certainly the most fair society that the world has ever known, where as a result of the ethos of that society, you are now worth $1.16 billion, and you still whine and complain about the racist system, then it's pretty bad. And as I tweeted to Beyonce, Nubian Queen Beyonce, if money is not ultimately linked to happiness, $1.16 billion is quite a bit of money. And I know that I struggle with a lot less money given the amount of taxes that I face in Canada. And contrary to what people think, as a professor, you're not exactly rolling in money. I would be very, very pleased to accept a $1 million monthly Patreon donation from Beyonce and Professor Dr. Jay-Z, because ultimately, it's not about the money, it's about happiness. And I know that an infusion of $1 million per month will make my family and I very, very happy. So as a fellow person of color, come on, Jay-Z, do right by me. Send me that $1 million Patreon donation. Cheers.